Hi, I'm Nina Melendez, and welcome to LinkedIn News Live, a show about the world of work and our place in it. If you've been to Vegas recently, you may have taken a ride in Lyft's autonomous, all-electric Hyundai Ioniq 5 vehicle. The company launched its robo-taxi service just a few months ago, preparing for fully driverless vehicles to be on the roads next year. This comes as the country is seeing a massive driver shortage and bracing for an economic slowdown. Is the ride-sharing industry poised for a disruption, and is this it? Joining me now is John Zimmer. He is the co-founder and president of ride-sharing service Lyft. Before Lyft, he founded Zimride, a carpooling service for students. He was also an analyst at Lehman Brothers and received his bachelor's degree from Cornell University. John, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you. So, John, I'm excited. When next year exactly can we expect fully driverless vehicles, and will it only be in Nevada?
The expectation is second half of next year, and that's all we've announced so far. So I can't say anything else, but obviously the idea is to bring it to more and more customers as the technology is ready.
And what has the response been from drivers who've gone on the beta rides?
From riders, the first time you get in an autonomous vehicle, you have this feeling of, or at least from myself and what we've heard from riders, is the shock. And you think about all the things that you as a driver do when you're driving, and it's incredible to see that the cameras and the computer and the car are doing it by itself. And to see the steering wheel move is pretty exciting the first time. Then the second and third time you take it, it just becomes so almost boring and kind of standard that you forget that the car is driving itself.
It makes me think of that Total Recall movie with the robo. When I saw the word robo taxi, you know the one with that I'm thinking of when he's in.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger's in the car and the robo taxi in there. Listen, so you said autonomous vehicles won't actually replace drivers for at least a decade. Can you explain the rollout?
Yeah, I actually think it will never replace drivers. I believe that the far majority of transportation will happen on a transportation network. So today, 99% of miles are not happening on a ride-sharing platform. Maybe just about 1% of miles are happening on a ride-share platform because people are driving themselves. In a future, when there are autonomous vehicles and the cost comes down with autonomous vehicles to use Lyft, I believe that almost all of someone's transportation is going to be happening on a transportation network. So for us, that'll be rideshare vehicles, both with drivers and with autonomous vehicles. So there's much more to grow. And therefore, I think we're going to need many more drivers before things get more and more autonomous.
Had you seen 10 years ago when you started this, had you seen this being the future of where ride sharing would go?
Always thought this was possible and likely to happen. I think the hardest thing with autonomous vehicles is to predict when it's going to finally come out in a material way. And I think we've been wrong on that prediction, as have many others.
Yeah. So 2023 might be the year. That's exciting.
Yeah.
How are you hedging against, other pandemic type of situations or other sort of black swans that might come up?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back through our history, we've faced a lot of maybe black swan or just really difficult situations. So if you go back to kind of our early days, was Lyft was starting out and was in this big battle with the competitor Uber. They had raised $3 billion one day when we had about 5 months left of cash. And so overcoming that was kind of the hardest thing we've ever faced from a capital perspective. We were the first company to really scale up peer-to-peer rides. They followed with a similar version called UberX, but they had a lot more money. And so we had to survive. At the time we had single-digit market share and got to 30 to 40%, in some cases up to 50%, depending on the market. That was the hardest piece. Then the next, after going public, there was the pandemic, and that took out 70 to 80% of our business almost overnight. That was the second hardest thing we faced. And now we're seeing a recession and the change in the stock market on how they're valuing companies more in the near-term profits versus long-term growth. And so I'd say our entire decade of working on Lyft has prepared us for whatever black swan event has been thrown our way. We've always overcome the odds, got to profitability a few quarters before people thought we would coming out of the pandemic. Have a lot more work to do, but I can say the team is strong and fights through whatever is coming our way.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. How has Lyft changed now that we're sort of post pandemic-ish? And is there any data that you've learned, say, about the future of work or anything coming out of COVID?
Yeah, I mean, one way the overall product has changed is we have many forms of transportation on the Lyft platform. So, in addition to rideshare, for which we're known, and within rideshare, we have many different price points. So, you could have a shared ride, you could wait and save money by waiting a little bit extra. You could get a premium or kind of a black card type ride on the platform. But we've also now have the largest bike share network in North America. And going through the pandemic, that was incredibly resilient, obviously, because it's open air. You're riding by yourself on a bike. And so bike share continues to grow on the platform. We have rental cars now. But back to rideshare, one of the really interesting stats we've noticed is kind of the changing behavior on the commute. So the most popular day now for people to use Lyft to get to work is Thursday. That was not true before. And
What
actually,
was
the
it?
least
What was it before, John? Was it
um, I believe it was Friday.
Friday?
So slight change. But also Monday is now the least popular day to use Lyft. There are a couple of things underneath that. One would be obviously people are working from home more than they were before, but also some people are driving in certain days a week and then not wanting to drive in on others. So a few moving pieces, but Thursday is now the most popular day to take a Lyft to work.
I want to, say I live in New York, and we've been seeing the bikes everywhere, and they're
Yeah.
incredibly popular. And I'm surprised that even in inclement weather, I mean, those bikes are constantly being used.
Yeah. So City Bike in New York is a Lyft program, a Lyft bike share system, and we just added an e-bike that is incredibly popular, and we're seeing utilization, on the e-bike of someone using that bike over 10 times a day. Each individual bike is being used over 10 times a day, which is triple or quadruple anything we had seen previously. So yes, like you said, very very much in demand. I think within urban cores e-bike is one of the best possible transportation products.
What about scooters? Will you guys go into scooters, those electronic
We
scooters?
Yeah, we do have scooters. One thing on the bike share system in Chicago called Divvy, we recently added scooters to the same docking stations as bikes, so you can decide which vehicle is best for whatever trip you're taking.
I want to pause the conversation very quickly, say hi to some members who are joining us from all over the world. We've got Anna Zita from Romania, Gregory from Florida, Ryan in New York, Nicole in New Jersey, Edward in Montreal, Mary from California, and Paul in the UK. Thanks for watching our show. If you have any questions, I'm talking to John Zimmer. He is the co-founder and president of Lyft. John, you have said that you see Lyft as a tech company and not a transportation company. Can you explain why that is?
I'd actually say, overall, we are a transportation platform that uses technology and hospitality. My background's actually in hospitality. I went to hotel school, and so always wanted to bring more of a human and personal touch to transportation. The big challenge that we're going after is the fact that in the United States, the second highest household expense is transportation, and typically owning and operating a car costs $9,000 to $10,000 a year, and yet the car is only used 4% of the time.
Hmm.
And so we have a huge opportunity to use technology and provide hospitality in a way that gets people more affordable, accessible, and enjoyable transportation experiences.
Lyft seems to also be going in all in on advertising, and I'm just curious why expand into this particular industry.
Yes, so often transportation platforms, whether it's, if you said you're in New York City,
Mhm.
if you see I used to take the 6 train when I lived downtown. There's tons of advertisement on buses, on subways. And so it's an opportunity to help bring down our cost structure to give more affordable rides to our customers. And so, as you were showing there, we have a rooftop ad product on top of vehicles called Halo. We're also experimenting with the tablet in the car. And with the tablet in the car, the brief to the team was, hey, we really want to elevate the customer experience. And if we do bring in advertisement, we should make sure that someone wants that tablet in the car. And so actually the first feature that the tablet offered is the ability to select your own music.
Hmm.
which was really popular and a really exciting, engaging way to get customers and a better experience.
I want to talk a little bit about the independent contractor scenario. The majority of your drivers work less than 20 hours a week. It's very much a side hustle, but there are a few that work more. And for those, that work, say 40 plus, is there a world in which Lyft will ever provide them with some type of employee benefits?
Yeah, so actually in California, we worked to pass a rule such that you could have independence, so independent contractor nature, meaning you can turn on and off the app whenever you want and get benefits. That to us is the ideal scenario. That's what drivers have told us they want. They want that independence, but they also want benefits. And so we have to work within the constraints of the current legal structure, of which historically benefits have been tied to employment.
Hmm.
But more and more, we're seeing state governments open to the idea of independence plus benefits, and that is definitely something we would like to see. Broadly, we've seen over 5 million drivers come on the platform over the life of Lyft. 3% of the US workforce has earned tens of billions of dollars on the Lyft platform. And we're constantly looking for ways to make drivers have an incredible experience with us.
And I feel like this, with all this talk of an impending economic downturn, something like that would be very beneficial then to drivers or to people looking to supplement their income.
Yeah, it's incredibly flexible. I mean, there's not many opportunities to earn income where you can literally, once you get the background check and driving record check, and if you have a vehicle that qualifies, actually, even if you don't have a vehicle, we have a rental program for drivers that want to get on the platform and earn. But you can literally turn on and off the app whenever you want to earn income is incredibly empowering. I know as an entrepreneur back in the days when I was getting started, to have something like this while you're not making a salary, which was the case for us in the early days, would have been incredibly helpful.
I have a question from one of our members, who is saying that by 2035, he's expecting the entire landscape of transportation to be entirely different. Do you do you agree with that? Do you think that by then we're going to the landscape is going to be completely different from what we were used to?
I do. I agree. And the mission and the reason behind Lyft is really to change cities such that they can be designed around people and not cars. If you look at mostly in America, where kind of cities were built at the time when the automobile came out, versus if you go to Europe and other places, you can see cities built before the car. But most of the cities in the US, I believe, can be rebuilt with having less roads. It's starting to happen in New York where you are, where after COVID, a lot of the streets are going back to, people eating in the streets, walking, biking. So I think over the next decade, to the point of the member who posted, a lot will change. There'll be autonomous vehicles, there'll be more e-bikes, and I think there'll be less roads and more people-centric infrastructure versus car-centric infrastructure. If you go back to the stat I used, that the car is on average by a car owner used only 4% of the time. Think how much real estate and space we use up with parking, that if people were taking Lyfts, riding bikes, and not owning outright their own car, how much real estate we could save for parks and local shops.
Or maybe even owning less amount of cars, instead of owning two or three vehicles, maybe just one.
Yeah, you're right. That is the trend that's already starting to happen. Our research shows that over 6 million Lyft riders have gotten rid of a car or not gotten a car they would have gotten otherwise. And to your point, typically what happens is two-car households go down to one-car household is the first step.
I'm going to say hi to some more members joining us. We have Victor in India, Erkan in Turkey, and John in Massachusetts. Thanks for joining. And we have a question from Bennett, who's asking, what's Lyft's outlook for a transportation wallet to reduce the cost or need of car ownership?
Yeah, I love the question. As I said, $9,000 to $10,000 a year is spent on owning and operating a car. So I actually think about, and have used the word wallet to think about transportation wallet. And the idea is that I think every household could be saving $1,000 to $2,000 a year as we bring all of our services with autonomous, with e-bikes, and with more rideshare modes to market. And The idea is that every household could save 10 to 20% on transportation. The first step in that is our membership service, which we're going to be announcing in more details tomorrow, kind of a new version, which is called Lyft Pink. And Lyft Pink is monthly $9.99, an annual $99, and gets you the best membership pricing on rides across all of the different modes we offer. And I think long term, you can almost think about membership going the route of the way the phone carriers have gone, or the phone network. So AT&T, Verizon, you pay for minutes and data. In the future with Lyft, you could be paying for miles.
So this new membership model is, so when will this take effect, and why specifically this model?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking more about it tomorrow, but you can actually go into the app today and get a 1-month free trial of Lyft Pink. The reason why we're doing Pink is because we really want to build a closer relationship with customers who are going to be loyal to us and say, we're going to give you the best rates. We're going to make it easy for you to always pick us. You'll get priority pickup. So you'll get the fastest ETAs at no extra cost. You'll get discounts on certain modes. You'll get free bike rides if that's relevant in your market. And then we'll roll out more and more benefits across things like rental cars and a few other features we'll be launching in the months ahead.
Historically, Lyft has been the ETA for waiting for a car has been shorter compared to Uber, correct? Historically, I feel like I read somewhere that Lyft has been quicker.
It depends on the market. There have certainly been markets where we are faster.
So tell me, John, what your long-term vision for Lyft is. Now we're talking about all these exciting things that are happening. As the co-founder, what is your long-term vision?
Yeah, the inspiration for me, I was taking a city planning class and was looking back at US history, where you had canal infrastructure, railroad infrastructure, and highway infrastructure. And I thought that there was going to be another form of transportation infrastructure built, and it was going to dramatically change how people live and work in cities. And so the vision is to fully unlock that. It's in, just what the individual wrote in, I think it was Ben in Massachusetts, about this transportation wallet. The idea is that every American household should save thousands of dollars, should not have to own a car. We converted, our garage to an apartment for family members. So I think many people will be able to do that over time. And cities themselves, not just garages, but cities themselves can be redesigned so that people can interact more in a positive way and not have to be stuck in traffic.
I actually have a really wonderful question here from Peter. Peter's asking if autonomous vehicles will lead to passive income. For example, if you have the option to send your car out to give ride shares and it pays itself off. That's a great question. What do you think? Yeah.
It's a great question, and we've heard this idea before. It's possible. I do think more likely the vehicles will be managed kind of as a professional fleet, because I know, as having kids, sometimes there are Cheerios in the back seat or dirty things in the back seat that they've left behind. And I think the opportunity to provide a service where every car is cleaned professionally and managed, you'll have, instead of an individual kind of managing one-off vehicles, I think, we'll be tasked with managing millions of vehicles, and we'll have to figure out all the parking situations and all the maintenance and the cleaning. And I think that will be better done at a kind of professional level. That said, I think the financing of the vehicles to this point could be done in a grassroots way. And maybe people, purchase, shares in a vehicle, or even to the point vehicles to put on the platform. I just don't think people will use their personal vehicle on the platform, but I do think they could share in the income potentially.
Peter was responding, I hope no one enters my back seat after the kids. Are you, once, after 10 years, once the vehicles do become completely autonomous, is there any concern about having riders in vehicles that are completely unmanned? Not so much from a safety perspective, but just safety within the car. Who knows what people are going to be doing inside cars? Is there any concern there?
I mean, transportation, buses in New York have added cameras for this reason. I think both from a cleanliness perspective and a safety perspective, I imagine autonomous vehicles will have some sort of safety cameras built in both interior and exterior. And that'll be kind of a balance with privacy. And so I think those are the types of things that'll be worked out over the next decade as more pilots and services are brought to market. But I'm highly confident that the overall promise of autonomous vehicles is a much safer experience. Unfortunately, fatalities on roadways are too high. I believe in the United States, it's almost 100 people a day that are killed in car accidents. And the point of autonomous vehicles is to eliminate that. And I think that is possible to see in our lifetime.
John, before I let you go, you celebrated 10 years since the founding of Lyft. Any advice for people, entrepreneurs who are looking to disrupt an industry? And is there anything that you know now that you wish you knew 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think the main advice I always try to say is do what you're most passionate about. We have had so many hard times, so many challenges, and the only thing that has got us through, I'd say two things, are the fact that we are so passionate about building a new form of transportation that's more centered on people, that has a positive impact on the environment with EVs. So the mission itself is that motivator, and surrounding ourselves with incredible people to help us do that. In terms of learning, I wish I would have taken better care of my own, personal health and wellness from the beginning, because we were so obsessed with the mission and making that successful, that I had to relearn the basics of eating well, sleeping well, and keeping up with exercise. So make sure any new entrepreneur does that, and then you can fight through almost anything.
John, thank you so much for joining us here at LinkedIn News Live. It was great having you.
Thank you.
That was John Zimmer, co-founder and president of Lyft. And thank you everyone for your comments. Sorry we couldn't get to it all. You can continue the conversation here. You can check out some of our other stories to the right of your feed, or if you're on mobile, just click into the search box. And join us on Friday, where my colleague Andrew Seaman will be discussing the importance of inclusive hiring and job search practices for neurodiverse adults. He'll be speaking with Microsoft's Director of Inclusive Hiring and Accessibility, Neil Bartnett. That's on Friday, October 28th at noon. I'm Nina Melendez. Thank you for watching LinkedIn News Live.